So before we jump into the Felicia's banana pudding recipe problem, we need to review some more meanings of multiplication and division. So aside from the area model, we have other ways to think about multiplication. So if I want to show 3 times 4 equals 12, one way to think about this is to consider 3 as the number of groups and 4 as the size of each group. Or how many in each group. 12 would be like our total amount. So to model this, I would show 3 groups with 4 in each group, and our total would be 12. So here's one group of 4. Here's 2 groups of 4. Here's 3 groups of 4, and if you count them all up, you'll see that there are 12. Another way to think about multiplication is have your 3 as the size of each group. And 4 can be the number of groups. "12" is again our total. So this picture is going to look a little different than the first one. Now I have 3 in each group, and there are 4 groups. So here's one group of 3, 2 groups of 3, 3 groups of 3, and here are 4 groups of 3. Now you can see we still have the same total, but the way we've broken down the number of groups and the number of things in each group, it looks a little different. So let's tie this into division. Now 12 is still our total, but instead of ending with our total, we're starting with our total. You can think about 3 as the number of groups, which means 4 is going to be how many in each group, or the size of each group. And we can see that in this picture too. If we started with 12 and we split it into 3 groups, our answer would be how many things we have in each group. So when we're thinking about a division problem in this way, we're really answering the question, how many or how much are in each group. The other way you can think about division, and this is going to tie into our banana pudding recipe problem, is 12 is still your total. You can think of 3 as the size of each group, which means 4 is going to be the number of groups. If you look at the picture, we can see that in the picture. If we started with 12 and we put 3 into each group, our answer would be how many groups do we have? So when we're thinking about a division problem like this, we're really answering the question, how many groups? Or a way you could phrase this particular one is, how many groups of 3 fit inside 12? So keep this idea and interpretation of division in mind as we look back at our banana pudding recipe problem. So here's Felicia's banana pudding recipe. And just to recap, she is trying to make this recipe, but she doesn't have her 1 cup measuring spoon. She only has a 1/4 cup measuring spoon. So we have to figure out how we're going to use that 1/4 cup measuring spoon to measure out each of the ingredients, which are in terms of whole cups. So for part A, we need to know how many quarter cups of sour cream is she going to need. If you look back at the recipe, she needs 2 whole cups of sour cream, but we only have a quarter cup measuring spoon. So when we did this problem in class, a lot of kids were thinking about how 4 quarter cups fit into 1 cup. And since we need 2 cups, they were writing out their equation like this. 2 times 4 equals 8. They were thinking this 4 would represent the 4 quarter cups that it would take to make 1 cup, and then they were doubling that because we actually need 2 cups of sour cream. So if we're using a quarter cup to measure out 2 cups of sour cream, you're going to need 8 scoops of the quarter cup. The division way to think about this problem is how many quarter cups fit inside 2 cups. So that's going back to this last interpretation of division. We know our total is going to have to be 2 cups. The size of each scoop is a quarter cup. And we want to know how many scoops or how many groups of a quarter cup are going to fit inside 2. So here we have our division equation. Here's our 2 cups. We want to know how many quarter cup scoops are going to fit inside 2 whole cups. And we know the answer is 8 because it would take 8 scoops of that quarter cup to add up to 2 cups. Now take a look again at these 2 equations. They're both starting with 2. The first one is multiplying by 4, or you can think of this as 4 over 1. The second one is dividing by 1/4, and they both equal 8. So again, we're seeing that multiplying a number is the same as dividing by its reciprocal, or you could think of it as dividing by a number is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. And we end up with the same answer.